So the most important in chemical sciences is balancing chemical equations. So why we do balance? Everyone fears of this thing only. It is the most easiest thing, but still people will feel fear when they come for learning balancing chemical equations. All the chemical equations must be balanced because atoms are neither created nor destroyed in chemical reactions. See, you have taken for example calcium oxide CaO and H2O. No calcium is destroyed, no oxygen is destroyed, no hydrogen is destroyed, but they converted into a new form. So this is what exactly we call as law of conservation of mass. I think you remember this word. This is not directly related to it, but I'm just giving you. At the same time, law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created, energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to the other. Likewise, you cannot create calcium, you cannot destroy calcium, but it can change from one form to the other form. So, in a balanced chemical equation, the substances that are present in the left hand side are called as reactants, and on the right hand side are called as products. So to balance a chemical equation, we must know about formula unit. To balance a chemical equation, we must know about formula unit. Formula unit is very simple. It is an atom or an ion or a molecule corresponding to a given formula. It is an atom, it is an ion, it is a molecule corresponding to a given formula. Say for example, you were given sodium chloride NaCl, so which has one sodium ion, one chloride ion. If you were given magnesium bromide MgBr2, one Mg plus 2 ion, two Br minus ions, you will come across, you will learn why it is 2 Br minus. In the next classes I will be teaching you this, okay? But if it is the formula unit of water, it is H2O, because NaCl, MgBr2, these are called as ionic substances, and H2O we call it as a covalent molecule, and it is very high level. It is a ionic covalent molecule. How it is, you will learn in my next classes. So how do you balance an equation? See, observe it. I have taken a wonderful equation. H2 plus O2 gives you H2O. First, just draw a table. It was given in the textbook also, but I'm repeating. Draw a table. The table has 3 columns and 3 rows. First column, name of the element. Second column, number of the element on left hand side. Number of the elements on right hand side. So what is the name of the element we have? Hydrogen. On left hand side, how many hydrogens we have? 2 hydrogens. On right hand side, how many? 2. So hydrogen number is balanced, because as mentioned earlier, no hydrogen is destroyed, or otherwise hydrogen cannot be created, but just it changes from one form to the other. So hydrogen here on left hand side we have 2 hydrogens, on right hand side we have 2 hydrogens. Oxygen, if you see, on left hand side the number of oxygens is 2, whereas on right hand side the number of oxygens is 1. So it is not balanced. On left hand side we have 2 oxygens, on right hand side we have only 1 oxygen. So what to do it? What to be done? Simple. You learned in mathematics about coefficients. Already in the above equation you find all coefficients are 1. Now what you do is add 2 as a coefficient for hydrogen and H2O. Add 2 as a coefficient for hydrogen and H2O. You may ask me why you left oxygen, because oxygen is already having 2 on the left hand side. On right hand side we have only 1 oxygen. So on right hand side you have to give 2 oxygens. So I placed 2, then 2 H2O. Then we get 2 oxygens is balanced. But on left hand side now hydrogens are not balancing, so I placed 2. So the balanced equation is 2H2 plus O2 giving rise to 2H2O. This is very easy, simpler way of balancing an expression. Now I am going for a very critical equation to balance, that is combustion of propane balancing a typical chemical equation. So this is the equation C3H8 plus O2 that gives you CO2 plus H2O. See, if you draw the table, take a pen and paper ready with you and draw the table. How many carbons are there on left hand side? 3 carbons. On right hand side, 1 carbon. How many hydrogens there on left hand side? 8. Right hand side, 2. How many oxygens? 2 on left hand side, 3 on right hand side. Nothing is balanced. No atom is balanced. Either carbon is not balanced, hydrogen is not balanced, or oxygen is not balanced. So what to be done? We will just first start with carbon. How many carbons are there on the left hand side? 3. On right hand side, 1. So what do we do is we add 3 towards the right hand side as a coefficient. So now observe, C3H8 plus O2 giving rise to 3CO2 plus H2O. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll come for hydrogen. How many hydrogens are there on the left hand side? 8. How many hydrogens are there on the right hand side? 2. So now what we'll do is we will multiply the H2O on right hand side with 4. Then the equation is C3H8 plus O2 giving rise to 3CO2 plus 4H2O. Now 3 carbons and 8 hydrogens are done. Now the left thing is with the oxygens. How many oxygens are there on left hand side? 2. How many total oxygens are there on the right hand side? 6 plus 4, 10. So now what we'll do is we will multiply oxygens on left hand side with 5. Now see the beauty, C3H8 plus 5O2 giving rise to 3CO2 plus 4H2O. Now is that equation balanced? Can you say that the equation is balanced or not? We have 3 carbons on left hand side, 3 carbons on right hand side. 8 hydrogens on left hand side, 8 hydrogens on right hand side. 10 oxygens, 6 plus 4, 10 oxygens on the right hand side. So if you want to multiply the same with a integer, you write it as C3H8 plus 10 O2 giving rise to 6 CO2 plus 8 H2O. No need, you don't need to multiply even, because all the atoms are balanced. So this is simply the above equation represented. I think I'm clear with my balancing of a chemical equation. Please write to me if you have any doubt. I will be explaining in my next class with balancing chemical equations. So if you write a chemical equation, what other information you will give to make a reader understand in a better way? So simply by writing physical state, you can write which physical state does the substance belong. Say for example Fe2O3, within the brackets it was written as S, that is solid, Al, that is solid, Fe solid, Al2O3 solid. So you can write which substance, which state does the substance belong, like solid, liquid and gas. Now heat exchanges, you can also represent whether the reaction is exothermic or endothermic. See, plus Q exothermic, minus Q endothermic. Q, that is heat. Then gas evolved, that can be represented by a upward arrow. You could see the equation you find here at some place, H2, you find a upward arrow which indicates that the gas is revolved. Precipitate formed will be given with a downward arrow. It is given with a downward arrow. Hope I am clear. So with a chemical equation, see how much information we are getting. We are getting lots of information. We are getting whether the substance is solid, liquid, gas, whether the reaction is exothermic or endothermic, whether the gas is released or precipitate is formed. See how beautiful this subject chemistry is. Now, so balanced chemical equations gives information about reactants and products, ratios of reactants and products. What is the ratio? 1 mole of reactant giving rise to 2 moles of product, or 1 gram of reactant giving you 2 grams of product. Relative masses, then molar ratios of reactant and product. If gases are released, for gaseous molecules we always consider about the volumes. So volumes, number of molecules and atoms. So how many number of molecules are reacting, how many atoms are reacting, how many products are formed, all this data can be concluded. So then for you to understand, I've taken an example from the textbook only. Calculate the amount of aluminium required to get 1120 kg of iron in the reaction below. So the reaction is aluminium solid plus Fe2O3 solid gives rise to Al2O3 solid plus iron. So this is the equation. So in that equation, what was taken? They have taken 1120 kg of iron. Not they have taken, they have to get 1120 kg of iron. If they have to get 1120 kg of iron, what is the amount of aluminium to be taken? So how much aluminium is required to produce 1120 kg of iron from the equation? First thing you have to do is you have to balance the equation. So the unbalanced equation, 1 aluminium on the left hand side, 2 aluminium on the right hand side, 1 Fe2O3 on the left hand side, 1 Fe on the right hand side, 3 oxygen on the right hand side. So here aluminium and iron are not balanced. So what I do is, already coefficient is 1 no, then we go for the next integer. After 1 we get 2. So 2 Al plus Fe2O3 giving rise to Al2O3 plus 2 Fe. This is the balanced chemical equation. Now 2 moles of aluminium plus 1 mole of iron oxide, that produces 1 mole of alumina plus 2 moles of iron. So simple. The coefficient write as mole. In my other videos I will post what is mole concept, then you will find what does it mean. For now just think the coefficients, okay. The atomic weight of aluminum is 27. So here 2 alumina, so 54 grams of aluminum plus 160 grams of iron oxide produces 102 grams of alumina and 112 grams of iron. So when you take 54 grams of aluminium, you are getting 112 grams of iron. Actually, what was the problem given? You have to obtain 1120 kg of iron. What is the amount of aluminium required? So it is very simple. It's a simple cross multiplication. So 54 grams of aluminum is equal to 112 grams of iron. X grams of aluminum is equal to 1120 kg of iron. X grams of aluminium equal to 1120 into 1000 grams of iron, because 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. So then what you have to do, x is equal to 54 into 1120 into 1000 by 112. So how much we get? X is equal to 540000 grams, which means 540 kilograms. So if you burn 540 kilograms of aluminium with some amount of iron oxide, then you will be getting 1120 kilograms of iron in the reaction. I repeat, I will discuss about mole concept in some other video. For now, just remember these words. I hope I'm clear. Please post your doubts in the description box. I'll be answering. Please do share, like and subscribe. Vidyunmala. Thank you.